Hey guys, welcome in and thanks for joining us for episode 3 of Whiskey Flix. Today my brothers and I will be discussing the iconic adaptation of Stephen King's novel The Shawshank Redemption, starring Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Our spirit of choice for this discussion, Larceny Bourbon. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Cheers.
By the power vested in me by the state of Maine, I hereby order you to serve 2 life sentences back to back, one for each of your victims. So be it.
Andy came to Shawshank Prison in 1947.
Why'd you do it?
I didn't, since you ask.
You can fit right in.
There are places in the world that aren't made out of stone. There's something inside they can't touch.
What are you talking about?
Hope. I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
Set to go. Taylor, take it away. Talk to us about Larceny Bourbon.
So Larceny Bourbon, the cheapest of the bunch so far. I don't know what you guys paid. I got mine at $21.99.
Oh, nice.
Right around there.
I don't think mine
Yeah,
was
I think so.
I got cheap.
Yeah.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Right. So we're at that under 25 mark this week. At least 2 out of 3 of us.
By the way, mine was $33.99.
Oh,
Man,
all
where
right.
do you live?
Yeah,
What?
that's
Where do you live? What kind of money are you making?
Making big boy money. Don't worry about it.
Just-
Just my bourbon.
yeah, right.
Just frivolous. Frivolous.
All right, so for 2 out of the 3 of us under $25 bourbon, and I gotta say, not too bad.
Too bad.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of sweet fruit, sweet fruit on the nose. I think on the palate, incredibly easy to drink. I'm definitely fine drinking this by itself for sure. Little bit of spice, nice sweetness to it. Overall, though, I think for a good value bourbon, I think it checks a lot of the boxes.
I agree with that. I like anything weeded. I usually like a lot just because it's a little bit softer.
Mm-hmm.
It drinks a little bit easier. The nose for me, I'll be quite honest, it took a lot for me to get anything off the nose. The aroma for me, I wasn't really getting right away. I tried to pull it. I looked up the description and I saw like it says toffee and that kind of thing. And I tried to pull that in, but I really couldn't. I think the initial sniff that I had was way too strong, so I almost burned my nostrils. But after that, that was tough. But the taste is very good. I mean, it's not very hot. It doesn't drink like high alcohol at all. Smooth, easy, and just for the price point, I mean, I really don't think it's really good. It's a really good bourbon for sure.
Yeah. What do you think, PJ?
So yeah, I had a much different experience. I didn't care for it at all.
Okay.
On the nose, I don't know if I got a bad, after hearing you guys, maybe I got a bad batch. I don't know. It was super boozy off the nose. So like my plan was to have one myself without reading anything, and then get a review, and then, you know what I mean, like see if I could smell this or taste that. After the first sip and the first drink, I was like, I don't like this. It tasted like chemical, or it didn't taste good to me at all. I don't know if that's what weeded bourbons taste like. I don't know if that's like a good representation, because if it is, then I don't like those, because I just didn't care for the taste. And my plan to try it went from having a few to try to pull out certain things to how many drinks does it take before this starts to taste good, and it was a lot. It was a lot.
I got to say, initially going into it, I didn't think I was going to like it. I expected to not be a big fan of it. I don't know. I know we talked about the bottles last week. I don't like this bottle at all.
Oh no, it's bad. It's really bad.
I get the shape and
Yeah.
the whole thing it's going for, but it's not a great looking bottle.
Yeah.
So I had low expectations going in. That's probably why I think I enjoyed it. And
Totally
again,
agree.
$22, and the fact that I went in thinking I wasn't going to like it, and it actually turned out to be a pretty decent bourbon. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is
I
an
don't mind it.
alcoholics bourbon.
Right. Right.
That's all there is to
This
it.
is if you don't want to drink Jim Beam or Evan Williams, spring for the Larceny. Which isn't a ringing endorsement. I'm sure that they're not going to try to advertise for us anytime soon. But
this is I mean, if you go to their website and check it out, from what I can gather, this is a bourbon that's based on story. That's where they're selling. That's what they're trying to sell. The initial thing when you first pop on their site is the story. You have to actually click a tab to get to learn about the bourbon. Like the first thing they want to talk to you about is, Fitzgerald and his whole drinking problem, the fact that he was he had the keys to get into the rickshaws and get all the stuff, and he would steal occasionally. So that's pretty much what they're banking on right there, right? But I don't hate it as much as PJ does. It's not something I'm gonna drink all the time, but it's not bad. I'll have a few of them here and there. I'll drink this bottle, no doubt about that.
Well, the bottle goes. I mean, that's what that's. I mean, I will say I did like the history. I like, obviously, I like stuff like that. So reading on the back of the bottle, I was like, oh, this is cool. That was like the one thing I liked from it. And like, I know last week, I think you said like if someone ordered this when we were drinking Eagle Rare, like if someone ordered it, you wouldn't like turn it away.
Yeah.
I might with this, unless it was like a gorgeous woman, I might be like, I'm good. You just keep that to yourself. I don't need this right now.
Take that swill away from
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, again, I think Mike and I don't hate it quite as much as PJ does, but are we in agreement? And again, I don't know if we want to continue to do this, but just off of the 4 we've done, this is now the new number 4.
Yeah, I could never put this ahead of Eagle Rare. Eagle Rare it was very good. It was very good.
See, and
For sure, this is definitely.
I think with Eagle Rare, it was much closer, the distance between 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. I think that Larceny is kind of a distant 4th right now, right?
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
We're probably going to fill in some gaps here as we continue to do this.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of those times when somebody says you get what you pay for, and it actually makes a lot of sense. This is
right.
Pay for. Minus PJ, who paid $40 for it.
Yeah, see, like, I spent like $10 more. I feel like I got ripped off.
Certainly seems like you got ripped off.
Yeah, you definitely got ripped off. The fact that you spent more than we did and you don't like it, you definitely got ripped off.
Yeah, that's not.
That's not a good experience.
Yeah, that's not fun. Not fun at all.
All right, so what do you think? You want to give it a review? PJ, I want you to go first if we do reviews.
Okay. So, official review of Larceny is a very, very, very soft 2. The reason I give it a 2 is because I have to imagine that there is a worse bourbon at the same price point that I just haven't come across yet. That is the only reason I'm giving it a 2.
I think we're gonna find it.
I think we are. So that's why it's a very it's the softest of soft 2s, and it came close.
I was just gonna ask.
There it is.
It came very close to getting the Paper Cup Award.
The Paper Cup Award, the dreaded Paper Cup Award.
Yeah,
Nobody
no one
wants
that.
We're getting closer. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
This was ballpark. It was
right
trying
there.
to get in.
Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead. It's gonna be boring, but I don't think I hated it as much as PJ, but I'm on board with the soft 2. I think that's a fair rating. Like PJ said, I don't think it's bad enough to be a 1. I think there's certainly some 1 stars out there that will come across. But if we're giving Eagle Rare a 3, then yeah, soft 2. Soft 2 is fair for Larceny.
This is going to be a unanimous one. I think this is going to be one of those episodes where we're unanimous for the entire time because I'm going to give it a soft 2 as well. Again, I didn't despise it as much as PJ did. I'll drink it. I'll probably have another bottle in the house at some point just because, again, the price point for me is pretty good and it's not, it's not awful to drink. But it isn't, if we're doing that, it's not Eagle Rare, obviously, so it's not a 3. And we are going to find some stuff that's worse, so we'll give it the soft 2. So I think
maybe a cocktail bourbon, right?
Yeah, I would think so. It could definitely use a little something. Absolutely. I don't think I would do it in a good cocktail. I would probably do it.
I'm not trying to impress anyone with it.
No, but like I'm not gonna make you an old fashioned with it. but I may give you a Larceny and Coke.
Oh yeah, larceny and Coke by the pool is fair,
right?
That's fair.
Yeah,
So you got to get the Diet Coke in Larceny, so the Diet Coke makes you more drunk, or whatever that myth is. I don't even know if that's true.
That is now the myth. It's the doubles in the Diet Coke. The alcohol goes right to you. It makes you drunk so much better. Yeah.
Fact. Look
And
it
if
up.
you drink it out of a straw, you can only drink half of it, and then you're dead.
Drinking it out of a straw. Oh god.
So what do you think?
Those straws will get you.
So we're consensus on Larceny Bourbon. We're all going to go with a very soft 2.
Yes.
Unanimous.
All right, unanimous 2 for Larceny Bourbon. Sorry, John Fitzgerald. Stop stealing shit.
Steal the good stuff. What the hell?
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, if you're gonna steal, you may as well just go for it.
Yeah. You stole the stuff closest to the door.
Yeah.
He's like, in and out. I got it.
All right, Pete, what are your initial thoughts on the Shawshank Redemption?
Okay, initial thoughts. This is easy and should be agreed upon by everyone. It is amazing. The cast is amazing, from the leads to supporting. No one misses a beat. There's no weak character. Like, they're all great. The story is fantastic, and the ending is like just a perfect way to end that movie. Is like all time.
Yeah.
Great ending.
I wrote my notes. I actually wrote and then underlined and put an asterisk next to it. The last 10 minutes is, I mean, it's awesome. Yeah. From the time Red gets to the parole board to that whole thing. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to go off the rails with this movie. There's so much to talk about.
Absolutely.
But those last 10 minutes, my God, I was just locked in. Again, I mean, it's not like I haven't seen it. I mean,
I have that note too, by the way. I like I said, I didn't want to take down every line, so like I just have a note that says, basically from parole board to the end, everything said and done is the greatest thing ever.
Oh man! All right, well, I didn't like it.
I know it's a joke, but I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate the joke.
It's been 3 episodes. I haven't had one of those yet. I really wanted one so bad.
You can't take it out on the Shawshank Redemption. I won't allow
it. We can end this right now.
You will never hear from me again.
Yeah, it's iconic. It's amazing. Yeah. PJ, Taylor, you guys said it, start to finish. Just a really good movie. Morgan Freeman, he was just amazing. I mean, you can't say enough about his. I have so much to talk about like just what he did and how he did it. And the director, I mean, I looked him up. He didn't do much before or since. Frank there, but yeah, but he killed this one. So what I did for this one too was, since we had talked about it and we've all seen this movie, everybody probably thinks it's amazing. I read the book as well, just to get a different feel, because I wanted to have like a different idea, because I knew I was going to watch it and just be like, yeah, absolutely. You know, I love this movie. So I read it. And this is one of those times, I don't know if you guys read, but this is one of those times.
Illiterate as fuck.
Money well spent, Mom, Dad.
Yeah. I just cheated it off everyone. Stole papers. Never did a damn thing.
This is one of those times, and there aren't a lot. This is one of those times where the movie was a lot better than the book. A lot better than the book. Yeah, I was shocked, because that doesn't normally happen. I know I hate those people too. They're like, I read the book, the movie sucked, it's terrible. Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, it's tough because you're doing a 2-hour movie, and a book has so much more time to build everything up, right?
Sure, yeah.
So obviously it's going to be a different thing. But the way the story was told in the book and the way they took it and adapted it, it's 100 times better in my opinion. So it's just a great movie.
And the director wrote it as well, right?
What's that?
The director wrote it. He got the rights to write the screenplay.
He adapted it? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
I looked it up. I'm pretty sure.
I did not question it.
And now, Mike, you said in your intro, it's a short novel by Stephen
not
King.
too long.
So how many pages are we talking?
We're talking. So I guess I was misleading when I said I read it. It was an audiobook. But what I mean to say is,
He threw out the comment about it whether we read or not.
well, I didn't expect any follow-up questions on the book pages.
You brought this upon yourself.
Wow.
I applaud Taylor.
Less than 60 seconds for that to unravel.
How many minutes did you have to listen, Mike, since you read it?
Oh, God. That
45
awesome.
minutes must have been torture.
You are just a hound dog, sniffing stuff out. How did you do that?
Oh, goodness. One follow-up question was all it took.
It had to be the right. It had to be the right follow-up question. If it wasn't the right follow-up question, we would have been fine.
I love that how long was the book was the one that tripped you up.
Had it been, no, he asked how many pages. Had he said, how long did it take you to read? I would have been like, all right, 3 car rides to work, so an hour. And that would have been it.
So I got you. The wording got you. Okay.
Man, good job, Taylor.
How
Well
many
done.
pages? Pages? What's a page?
I'm
there
going to
pages
try to
in
leave
books?
that.
Or
I'm
are
gonna leave
you?
that alone for now because that's hilarious.
I didn't understand the question. When you say pages, what do you mean?
I think the word you're looking for is minutes. Minutes.
What do you mean by the word the?
So the reason I asked the follow-up question was not to find out that Michael was was stretching the truth a little bit there. It was because I would have imagined it would have been a fairly lengthy book, considering the length of the movie, which is how that question came up. But
it was broken down into 5 parts on YouTube. So I think each part was about 45 minutes. So if I'm doing the math right, 5 times 45, I don't know what that is, but it wasn't that long at all. It was very quick.
You guys do math?
I was told there would be no math.
It was pretty quick. Again, seriously, it was broken down into 5 parts, and they weren't very long at all. Like I said, I listened to them on the way to work. My drive to work is 20 minutes, so I was finishing most of them by the time I got there. But I mean, I think it was the whole novel, unless the guy cut some corners. But it sounded pretty good.
Well, we know one guy who cut some corners.
Yeah, call me redhead.
Just so you know, the director did write the screenplay.
He did.
I'm trying to save you, Mike.
I appreciate that. Thank you. No, it's too late. I mean, this is going to be out there now.
I thought that he did. Yeah.
It was a great question, John. All right, cool.
I love that you just didn't make up a number. You could have said anything.
I would have believed it. Yeah, I would have never questioned it. I would be like, oh, all right.
Well, what if like down the road somewhere you guys are like, you come across the book and you want to read it because we did this, and then you're like, he's such a fucking liar. It's
then
like
he would just text you, be like, "I wouldn't lie." But you still have won this one.
I don't know which way it would have been funnier to find out. How we just did find out, or you're flipping through a book in the bookstore like, this isn't what he said at all.
I think personally, reading the book and not knowing would have been the funnier way. I'd have been like, "What a fucking liar! What a piece of shit!"
And then see, that would be the perfect time to call and be like, "Hey, Mike, you read?"
When Taylor asked me the question, he goes, it was a perfectly worded question. It's like, so you said it was a short novel. So how long was it? So the first thing I thought was, shit, how long is a novel? And then I was like, trying to cut the number in half, but I couldn't stall for too long. So I was like, I didn't read it. It's like, what was the last novel I read? And, it was a great question. It was a probing question. It was a great question. You had me on the rope.
Oh shit! That is so ridiculous.
That's awesome.
Ridiculous.
What's a novel usually? Like 1,200 pages? How long is a novel? What's a novel?
It's somewhere between 150 and 2,000. I don't know.
What are you reading? War and Peace? What was the last novel you read? That's ridiculous. 1,200 pages.
Oh man! All right, that was awesome. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, it goes right into the trial for me. And for me, I'll go with the first line when the lawyer said, "The neighbor stated, I'll see you in hell before I see you in Reno."
Mm-hmm.
And I love how the lawyer delivers the line so calmly, because when Andy actually says that line, he must have been freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Yelling at the top of his lungs. So when the lawyer says it so calm, it makes it such a creepy line.
Yeah.
And
Very true.
I love that.
Jeffrey DeMunn is the DA's name. Things I wish I knew to say. You know how like when you go to you're in a certain situation and then you walk away from it and you're like, oh, if I would have said that, it would have been amazing. When the DA asks him about the convenience of everything, and he says, since I'm innocent of this crime, I find it decidedly inconvenient.
Yeah, that's great.
Classic. If he would have asked me that same question, I'd be like, yeah, it's pretty convenient.
I did it. It's me.
Yeah. I know how it sounds. I don't know what to say.
I'm glad you brought up that line, by the way, Mike, because I didn't write that down, but it's always been one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite all time.
It's a great line. It's fantastic.
And I guess for me to wrap up the end of the trial, when the judge is sort of describing how he feels about Andy as a very cold, I guess mysterious. He doesn't say mysterious.
Yep.
What kind of chance do you think that we would stand if someone was judging us off our personalities in a courtroom? I would assume that we're also getting double life sentences.
They'd shoot me in the courtroom.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even waste the money. They'd be like, let's get rid of this guy. Terrible.
We wouldn't get the respect of the judge to be called a cold individual who he's like almost like nervous of and doesn't want out on the street. The judge would be like, you guys just can't be out on the street. There's no reason for you to be out there. At least Dufresne got like the respect of the judge to be like, I'm a little nervous about you, so I'm going to put you in jail forever so I feel comfortable. You guys just need to go away. That's all there is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Easiest decision of my life. See you later. And by later, I mean never.
That was a great scene. I guess from there we move into, is it the first time that we meet Red?
Yes. Can I throw in one last thing?
Yeah, please do.
Sorry. His face when he hears the 2 life sentences it's so crushing, and it's such a great lead into like the next 45 minutes, which are just completely awful. I just found his like the shock and then just like despair like instantly.
I haven't seen a lot of Tim Robbins movies, a couple, but probably would you say one of his best performances, maybe?
Easily for me.
Easily?
And I actually had that question to ask later on, so I'm glad you did. I think it's hands down one of his top performances.
Yeah, he was really good. He played that character very, very well.
Well, yeah.
Cool.
I guess just one more note to throw in before we get to Red, but I guess it's also getting to Red. It does kind of skip it.
Do it. Go for it.
But it's right there. I obviously, and this isn't going to be any breaking news here for anyone, but the scene where the bus pulls up to the prison and the song that they play when they're pulling up is, it's one of my favorite parts of the movie, actually.
Yeah, good call.
It really is when they're taking bets on the stairs and they're all getting off the bus. I love that scene. I really do.
Nice.
I will to piggyback off that real quick, because Taylor, you beat me to it. Best shot candidate for the whole movie is that flyover scene. When it starts from the bus and it flies over and you see all the prisoners going to the gate. I didn't realize until I watched it today, the scene ends with the bus again going to the gate. I don't know if you got like, I guess I missed it, but it starts with the flyover and you see the bus and it goes all the way over top the prison and around, and then when it circles like almost 360, you see the bus coming back down the road to go to the gate. And I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. I was I was giddy. I was like, this is great. Amazing.
That's a great
and then
part.
It's a great shot.
That's a
It's
great part.
shot.
So if we're there right now, we'll go back to the parole part. But that part, the only thing I wrote down about the bus was, how about the fantastic actor who came out first of the prisoner bus? I think his name was Butt Steak. Did you see?
Oh, what did he call him?
He called him Butt Steak.
Is that it? I thought
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay.
I put on the captions just so I could make sure I heard.
No way.
And it says
That's
Butt
awesome.
Steak. Yeah. That guy he had no chance. Like, that was his one shot. He was somebody's cousin. There was no way he was getting back in anything else. He was terrible. Oh my God. Yeah, it was so bad. When he goes, "You speak English?" And then
I mean, he's a good nodder. He can nod with the best of them.
nodded pretty well.
Probably had to call him something ridiculous just so you would even remember he was in the movie at all.
Speak English, Butt Steak. Oh man. So I wrote down, I'm gonna go backwards. So the first time that we met Red, so this is like what set it off for me for Morgan Freeman, this entire thing. When he walks in, not knowing where to place his hands, that is phenomenal. And that wasn't, I'm assuming, and I hope it's true, that was not directed. That was just him playing nervous, and he crushed it. In the front, in the back, at his side, didn't know, like, had that face, and he was just, that was amazing for me. I watched it, I was like, I rewound it, watched it again. It was so good. I don't think they can be taught. Like, that was just something he did and nailed. That was very cool.
By the way, again, totally agree with that one. I've noticed that every time I watch it. It's so subtle, but it's so great. Yeah. He just nails it. I mean, he nails awkward, just like not wanting to be there. Just it's great. Just what to do. It's really.
I think that's what makes it so great, is how subtle it is. It's just it's just him acting, and it's so easy for him almost. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Was this when he got known for narration? He
That's
didn't
a
do
good
anything.
question. I have no idea.
Right?
Yeah, you guys would definitely know more than me on that one.
Because his voice is just amazing.
Well,
I could listen to him talk all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree.
I'm surprised he didn't do the audio book of the Shawshank Redemption.
Yep. Right into that one.
Yeah.
Damn, I am getting slow.
I'm probably going to beat that into the ground by the end of this. It's not going to be funny anymore.
Yeah, and by the way, I am confident Taylor is fine with taking that one. I'm not going to pile on. Yeah. I think it's going to be plenty.
It's deserved. It's deserved. I accept. I put myself out there. I accept it.
All jokes aside, though, his narration in the movie is pretty spectacular. It is.
Yep. And that's obviously the book, the audio book too. It's written in Red's, he wrote it. So Red was actually the person writing the story in prison.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Real quick, just to agree,
yeah.
I have a note that says, anything Morgan Freeman narrates is my favorite line. That's my note. And then I said, it sounds like his voice accompanies the music. It's like it's almost like when he talks with the music, it's like he's complimenting it, like it's another instrument. It's crazy. Every time he narrates with the music, I love it so much.
That's awesome. I'll watch it again just for that, just to check that out. Definitely. This is something that I wrote down too, and I don't know. I'll say it now, but it's going to put us in a weird spot. We'll have to go backwards, but the progression of his parole speech.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
Fantastic.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. We can talk about that at the end, but just like that's amazing. Like how he's like so like optimistic in the beginning of the movie, and in the middle of the movie, you can see him not as awkward, like starting to not give a shit to understand what's going on, and then by the end, he's just like, I don't give a crap, I'm old, I'll die, it doesn't matter, we're good. Right?
So true. No, I totally agree. And I also like how it's the same words, but just delivered differently. Like, yeah, it's until the last one when he's like, zero shit. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah, but the middle one is spot on, but it's more like he's just saying it at that point.
Yep.
He doesn't expect anything. It's just going to be what it is. And then by the end, he's like, I'm not even going to waste my time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. I'm tired of this crap.
Yeah, each time the confidence level sort of takes the next step up, right, all the way until the very end. Yeah.
Yep.
When he gets rejected and he walks out the door, the scene where he walks up the steps is one of my favorite scenes because he goes from being like, I'll say dejected, but like it's also like he knew it was coming, so he's not like completely devastated, but at the same time he's like, I'm still, and he looks up and he's like, must be thinking I'm still here, like I'm still here. And he takes those first few slow steps up the stairs, and you can see he's still thinking about it, but like midway he kind of like shoulders back, head up, and just goes back into, I have to be
the guy who can get things.
And just I can't let anyone know that I'm what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling. And by the time he gets to the last step, he's like moving normal, and he walks into that monologue of I'm the guy who can get stuff. It's so great. It's
so good,
seamless,
so good.
I love that scene. It's great.
And then a classic line right after that scene, or during that scene, right? I'm up for rejection next week.
Yeah, I love that line. Yeah.
Same shit, different day. I'm up for rejection next week. It's just like, this is depressing. Zero hope.
So good. So good. That first scene, the fresh fish scene, there's some amazing lines that come out of that scene. I'm sure you guys have them all written down, so I'll let you guys talk about it. Whoever wants to go ahead.
PJ, why don't you go?
Okay, so fresh fish scene. In terms of comedic value, I want my mother. I had her. She wasn't that good.
Wasn't that great?
So funny.
I'll go ahead and cross that one off.
And then, you guys run this place like a fucking prison.
Number 2
those two lines, especially given the scene where, and that the guy who freaks out, great character, and he nailed it. Like just that total, just like I don't want to be here is really bad for me. And while he's freaking out, you hear those two funny lines. I was just like, they elevate the humor of them. They're just because you can tell these guys like give zero shits. You're like, I don't care what it's about.
Well, then that's the ending.
I'm
right?
gonna make a joke because someone gave me an opening, and here we go.
Right when Haywood gets to the very end and he's completely broken, and he goes fat ass by a nose. Right.
Fat ass by a nose. Fresh fish.
You guys run this place like a prison. That's such a great scene for that. So good.
I guess the last thing I had was just was the ending where obviously Red had bet on Andy to be the one to crack.
Yeah.
And where he says that he didn't make a peep was my moment at the very end. Sort of sets up the next, like you had just said, Peach, like the next 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's a great call.
It is, and it is a great. I totally agree. It's one of my favorite lines. It's such a good line to end that whole number of scenes leading up to that. It's perfect.
Right.
I will say real quick, the one thing I had was the beating of the guy who freaks out.
Oh man.
I mean, look, again, we've established I love the overkill, but that is brutal to watch. I mean, it's so, it feels more real than like an action movie where like you're stabbing someone like 20 times. Like every time he hits him, I'm like, please stop. Like he's done. Like he doesn't. And then he kicks him in the face. I'm like, he's dead. Like he's not.
Yeah. There's an obvious reality thing there, right? Like when we watch and talk about Extraction or something else, that's just fun. It's like, but that movie, that just, you felt that. Like I felt every hit when he
Yeah.
kicked him in the face at the end. I was like, well, I mean, he knew it was happening. You can stop.
To go back to the first episode where I said when Brad Pitt was punching the hippie in the face, and I said that I enjoyed the last punch because it wasn't needed, but it was funny.
Yes.
See, this, like PJ said, this scene is the total opposite, where I'm like, oh my God, please stop hitting him.
As soon as he lifts him up and like hits him in like the upper chest throat area, like pulls him up by the hair and hits him, I'm like, he's done. He's learned his lesson. You can stop right now. I'm okay.
Taylor, what would you if Hadley had used the same line as Brad Pitt, would have been better? Like before he kicked him, if you looked up the prisoners and went, ladies, and then kicked them, would you have been like,
maybe?
I love that.
Because that would have been pretty good, right? I mean, ladies to the rest of the prisoners, that would have been funny.
Yeah.
That would have been good. That's a good call.
Not as real at that point.
It isn't. It brings a lightheartedness to the scene.
Yeah.
Which would have been nice. It's great.
Clearly, that's not what they were going for. They really, they really made you feel bad about watching that scene.
Yeah, that was rough. This is gonna go. I don't know where we are, but you guys can, correct me if I'm wrong. But when the first time that Andy and Red meet, I thought from the conversation, if somebody ever threw a rock in my hand, would I have any idea what I was holding? How was Red just like quartz? Right? Like Andy throws it in his hand. He's like, oh yeah, quartz. I knew that. Yeah, I'd be like, what are you throwing rocks in my hand for?
I explain that away by saying that first 10 years he read a lot of books, and the library just happened to have a lot of books on rocks.
Yeah,
and he just happens to know. And then after that he gave up. He's like, well, I know quartz. I don't know anything after that.
Quartz. He's been in prison since he was like 14 years old.
Yeah. But to your point, Mike, if that happened to me, I'd have been like, yes, I don't need to hold your trash. You take care of it. Like, why don't you give me a rock?
Yeah, we just met. Don't throw shit at me already. You gotta slow down.
I got, and we'll have to go back at some point just for my ramblings at the end. But for this scene, I have favorite line when Red is like, hey, don't you know everyone's innocent here? And he asks Haywood. And he's like, didn't do it. Lawyer fucked me.
Yeah.
So good. So great.
So I guess I don't know. I don't want to jump around too much. But initially I posed the question first, and then I crossed it off because then I remembered the scene where it kind of didn't make any sense anymore. But I guess I'll ask it. And maybe I'll word it differently. Do we all think that Red was capable of murder? Right? I mean, like, maybe, but...
At the time that we meet him?
Off? Yeah, right. Exactly. No. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. No. I think we met him at his younger age, yeah. And I think that part where he, like at the end when he says that, when he wants to meet his younger self and talk to him, because by the time we meet him, I mean, he's already been in for how long?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I just always saw like those
first start.
Yeah. That first like hour and a half, 2 hours. I still like every time I watch it, I'm just like, there's no way he could have done that.
Right.
I guess he could have though.
Yeah, when you meet him, no, you couldn't. He seems like the most intelligent, like even keeled person. Like he understands himself and life, and it's fine. But yeah, like 20 years old, let's say he committed or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, something happens. You're 20. You don't think. And I mean,
at 19, 20, my life could have been very, very different.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, I get you.
That's my point. And you nailed it. It's so true.
I got lucky. I got away with it. Yeah.
Different outcomes here and there. We're not talking right now.
Yeah, right.
You're right. Exactly right. All right, I'm rolling right into this. Boggs definitely misread the initial interaction with Andy.
Yeah.
He took that the wrong way. But hard to get. I like that. I don't think so. That's not what he was doing at all. he was clearly walking away from you.
Yeah.
he
wanted
was not
to
playing hard to get. Yeah. That's not right at all.
Also, I never liked the name The Sisters. I don't know. It's just
Right.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It's appropriate. It creeps me out.
It's creepy, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's the point.
I know well, I'm just saying it hit a little close to home.
What? I literally have no idea how to respond to that. I don't know what that means.
It is creepy. It definitely sounds.
Just becomes a little too real.
Yeah,
It just becomes a little too real.
Mud is depressing if it's the only thing you have to walk on. So, by that, going back to the scene with the overhead shot, like it's just mud everywhere with puddles of dirty mud and or wet mud, and it's just every time I see it, I'm like mud is something like fun that you play in for like 10 minutes, and then someone else washes the clothes. Like when you're a kid, like I'm gonna play in mud, and then don't worry about it. But like if that's the only thing you have, awful. It's so depressing to look at and walk in.
Yeah.
Just your feet are wet. It's just bad.
Falls and winters in Maine can't be too great to be in prison, right?
That's a really great point. No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Scene where they see the warden for the first time. Warden's line, "Put your faith in the Lord, your ass belongs to me." That is rough. Just a rough line to hear, whether you know you're going to prison or not. It's just like, it's not going to be fun.
There'll be no blasphemy. I won't have the Lord's name taken in vain. What'd you say, fuckstick?
I mean, the balls on him to ask when they eat, though. Every time he says it, I'm just like, no. And I love Andy's face, how he just kind of like subtly looks over, like, really?
His thought process was, know your audience. What are you doing?
Exactly. The question asked there is no question.
Yeah, like the warden was all of a sudden going to start laughing his ass off, like, this guy gets it. Look, you're here for rehabilitation, but we also want to have a good time. Big old swing and a miss. 0 for 1. He's not in for 20 minutes.
That's really funny. All right, real quick, moving. The first scene where you see the food that they eat, I will say the potatoes didn't look that bad. I mean, they look pretty good. I mean, yes, there's a maggot in your oatmeal, but I mean, the potatoes look pretty spot on. I wasn't upset by them. I genuinely caught it and wrote it down. I was like, "No, those potatoes look good."
It's funny, after you've seen this movie as much as we have, you start looking at stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a total like 100th time watching the movie. You're like, those potatoes are fun.
I'm probably not going to eat the oatmeal, but the potatoes,
yeah,
I'll have
hard pass on the
oatmeal.
Oh man!
After the bet that Haywood wins, when he gets all the cigarettes in front of him, and he goes, "Yes, Richmond, Virginia." I love that line. It's a really funny line.
Smell my ass.
It's so true. He's just totally just rubbing it. He's like, you guys suck. I'm awesome. Look at all these cigarettes.
Hey, can I just throw something in real quick?
Yeah, we're going all over.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be a little all over the place, but I made the note, and I wanted to make sure I got it at some point. So since we're kind of piggybacking off like the Andy is actually innocent, Captain Hadley, the head prison guard, 2 murders. Andy, 0 murders.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it comes back to bite him in the end, but that whole movie, Andy's sitting there in the hole. He's getting the shaft left and right.
But it takes 20 years. It took 20 years for Hadley to get his in the end. That doesn't seem right at all.
I
mean,
love his progression
go ahead,
with
Tim.
Andy. I love Andy and the warden scenes together. And then obviously after the whole Tommy situation,
Sure.
it's never the same. But like even with the opera scene, I just love the whole progression between Andy and the warden, the back and forth,
Yeah.
and how that sort of just develops throughout the whole movie. I always thought though, until from the first time they shake down Andy's cell until the point when Andy calls him obtuse, I always thought that there was at least a mutual respect there. That
Sure.
the warden definitely thought of Andy as above the rest of the inmates.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously by giving him the access that he did, but he also knew that he was pretty smart.
The warden actually changed in the book like 4 times. Norton wasn't there the entire time. Norton never met Dufresne until like I think 4 or 5 years before he left.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's another reason why I think the adaptation nailed it, because I think you need to have that central character. Like I think Norton helps the entire thing.
Yeah.
If you don't have him, if you have people in and out, right? I don't think it's the same movie. I think Norton just gives you that line. This is how it's going to be throughout.
He's the anchor point.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
their
never
rise
thought of it that way.
and then the fall is what makes the ending so good.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with both those things. Like, I haven't read it. I'm not gonna make a joke. I haven't read it.
Good. It's pretty good.
But I didn't know that, like, it makes sense, though, because there's a quick scene where before Andy asked for funds for the library, Brooks is like, oh, I've been through 6 wardens, and, I can always say, like, they don't want to give money. So, again, if you're there for, 60 years or whatever, 6 wardens, I mean, it's a pretty quick turnaround. So
Right.
the fact that, like, one warded 20 years and could have gone longer, that's a great call. And, yeah, I mean, his character and their interaction, like Taylor said, it's very important to the whole movie. I mean, it
Exactly right.
shows Andy's progression through the prison system, almost like like he's working laundry, and then he happens to just get something right with a Hadley, and then all of a sudden he gets in front of the warden, and then they go from there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
his character's great. I mean, it's
Character's
really
amazing.
The character arc with Andy too is cool, like how PJ, you mentioned Red's scene when he first left the first probation hearing, and
Yes.
like how he sort of got his confidence back as he walked out. You sort of see that progression too with Andy, how he deals with the warden, all the way leading up to where he feels comfortable enough to call him obtuse, where you almost think like Andy sees them as equals. Right, like at that point, are you
Yeah.
seriously not getting it? Like have we not seen eye to eye for? I mean, at that point, like a decade, right?
Yeah.
Probably something like that. And now all of a sudden, when he finally has an argument, he's just bailing.
Yeah. That's a great call.
It is.
That's a great call.
It is, and I guess to that scene, I mean, how frustrating is that? Like,
so annoying.
Andy obviously has like all this potential information, knowledge to like get himself off, and like you can just see the warden is just like,
Nope, not doing it.
Yeah,
it's like
doesn't care at all. Doesn't
Making
care
too
at
much
all.
cash. Making too much cash. Not going to stop now.
That's
Absolutely.
I like how the music for when Andy was introduced was very obviously ominous and somber when he was being brought in. I liked how the music when Tommy was brought in was kind of upbeat, right? Because at this point we're kind of following Red and Andy. So they're already established. And then also Tommy's kind of like the cool sort of con, right? He's not like serious. He's not doing a life sentence. So like everyone's sort of comfortable with the movie. Everyone's comfortable with what their role is in the movie. And the music choice for it is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, like the way the bus comes in, it's pretty spot on to like where we're at in the movie. And also it needed a little bit of like upbeat, like kind of like the guitar that it brought in. It was cool. I mean, that scene, I love the entry scenes of the buses, and that one just kind of it just stays true to form. It's awesome.
Yeah, at that point, it definitely gave you again just a burst of color, just
Yeah,
something to
right,
get you
exactly.
back. Yeah, because at this point you get it. This sucks. This is
Yeah.
just awful, 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 awful.
Right.
Now here you go. Here's something to give you a little bit to get you through to the end. This is the energetic boost you need to
Yeah.
get you through. Yeah, it was good. The music was fantastic. I totally agree. I thought his character was very cool that they brought in. I love. I know you guys have this written down, but I love when Andy says he should find a new line of work.
Yeah, so
I mean,
good.
that's
What do you know about
fantastic.
a Capone?
Yeah.
Well, what I mean is, and he explains to him literally. It's so ridiculous.
So good, amazing. I love that the initial when they're doing the work and he's like, "Come on, old timers, you're making me look bad."
So
Yeah.
good.
Make me look bad. That's right.
Yeah, we liked him immediately. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was cool. Like his character was a cool injection. I love the whole GED thing when he loses his mind when the test is done, and he just like the cats climbing trees 5 times 5 is 25. Fuck this place.
I'm sure it's not as bad as you think. 2 points,
Well, it's
right
right
there. So good. It's so good. I love that line.
That was
2
fantastic.
points, right there.
Yeah, it was great. That was great. It was exactly what we needed at that point in time. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was.
And then, of course, he finds out the score when Andy's in the hole for the month after calling him obtuse, and then the guard passes it along. At that point, Andy kind of has the respect that Red had when we initially started the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
So everything's sort of coming full circle, right? I mean,
yeah.
Again, just
Definitely.
the way that everything was laid out in this movie was just so well done.
Dang it. Time can draw out like a knife. That's a great word. That's a great sentence.
Yeah,
That's a really good one.
And I guess the other one would be, although that one's better, but how often do you look in another man's shoes?
No, it's so good.
That's an amazing line. Here's
great.
my problem with that line. I'm glad you brought it up because I wrote it down. So, how many times look at a man's shoes? Okay, fine. Fantastic line. Amazing. They pan to his shoes. Phenomenal. The initial scene when they do the first rollout call, when Andy spends his first night in prison, they actually focused on the fact that it sounded like a marching band. All the boots stamping on the concrete. Do you know how loud a man's dress shoes would be against that floor walking to his cell? Have you ever walked anywhere in the wrong pair of shoes in your life? And you're like, why are these so loud?
Yeah.
Why every time they either squeak or they make the biggest clacking sound you ever heard in your life?
Right.
That's so
Right?
that is so true.
There's no way that he walks down that hallway. I mean, and he'd probably be trying to be quiet too. So he'd be the weird steps.
Somebody, hey, Andy, I've seen you for the last 20 years. You never walked that way.
Why don't you let me see your shoes?
See, if he would have gotten caught on the shoes and the whole plan spoiled after he tunneled out for years, that's a real depressing ending.
That's a real depressing. Yep.
Then hope is alive.
So I'll give it to him. All right, it's a movie. It's not all real life, but I mean, come on.
No, I get what you're going for there.
That was a lot.
So true. And honestly, like you said, would you really risk destroying all this work you did just wearing your shoes out?
Yeah.
You never do. It'd be like, nah, I'm just gonna walk in my normal
Yeah. I'll find a pair of shoes when I get on the outside.
Yeah.
I don't need dress shoes to leave.
Not at all.
Right? I escaped from prison.
Yeah.
I can find a pair of shoes. I'll figure it out.
See, for me, the suit already did the job. If he's not wearing dress shoes, no one in the bank's gonna notice.
Because how many times do you look at a man's shoes? Exactly right.
Right. So, and then I also just had a couple questions. The warden, it's a pretty quick decision to kill himself, right? I mean, it was either kill yourself or go to jail. And he pulls that trigger pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Are any of you pulling the trigger before you get your trial.
Yeah.
Right, because the warden was probably going to make bail. He would be fine. If you're going to kill yourself, wait it out a little. Just see. Maybe there's a plea. Right? That happens. He's a white male in Maine. Chances are he's not spending more than 3 years in prison for fraud. Stop it. So maybe you wait a little bit. He's probably got a few
That's
lawyers.
it. That's it. That's the end. It's not gonna get any better.
No, he's right. And in the what was it, at that point, the 70s?
No, still late 60s.
It was still the 60s?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's definitely
fine.
He's probably
A
He's
white
great.
man with money in the Northeast? That's the dream. Stop it. So how long between Andy getting out and then Red getting out? Like where were you? Like what do you think? Where Andy was like, do I still have hope? He was pretty early on in that boat though, so probably not too long.
Yeah. I say
Or
2
he's
years.
just not a hard worker.
2 years, 2 years.
2 years?
Yep. I'm gonna go with 2
That's
years.
That's fair.
Definitely. I think that's right. I think that's right because I read it.
Is that well? Okay, wait. Is that really what it said?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that really what it said in that thing you heard?
That's what I read. That's what I read in the book.
All right.
When I read it. When I
I'll
read the
take
short novel, that was 250 pages long. That's what I read.
Is that okay? So when he gets through the not the tunnel, the pipe,
Yep.
Mhm.
comes out on the other side, strips off his shirt, the music like starts, and like the rain's coming. Like, is that like the best scene?
Epic.
Shot,
Epic scene. It's the scene for Shawshank, right?
Yeah.
right? I mean, like that's the one that.
But I would
Oh,
also put
Okay.
put the beginning shot right there. I just think in terms of just I don't know. I love that intro shot so much. I get that the ending is the ending, so it's tough to argue against it. But I do love that beginning shot, the way it starts, like to just
Are you
go
talking
over
about
the
us?
whole. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Exactly. I mean, if we're gonna do like shot for shot, like I understand that the ending obviously has more importance and more weight on it, but in terms of like that overhead shot, I mean, the intro is still kind of my favorite. But
And
I
how
do
about
love
that? How about the actual last scene when Freeman is narrating and the hope?
Yeah, and yeah.
Right? Hope,
Mhm.
hope, hope. That's
Yep.
pretty epic. I mean, that's just it all came together like
Great.
from not believing in hope at all to that's all you believe in at that point is I hope.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I also
That
love
hit
how
me,
it's.
by the way, until this I watched it this time. Like I always heard the hope over
Yep.
over again, but like this time I was like, oh, like
Yeah.
it really clicked. It's a really good way to end it.
It's
like
throughout. Like the
Yeah.
entire time it's all throughout.
See, and I mentioned that, and PJ, you did too, that the Brooks scene was your least favorite scene because it was so depressing. But it was that scene that made it so much more of a happy ending because you can have a good life on the outside, right? That was like kind of the whole point. Like that's why Andy was fighting for it, and I think Red at a certain point wasn't fighting for it anymore because like what's he, and it almost got there, right? He was doing the same thing Brooks was
He was
doing.
right there.
He was
Yep.
right there, and then all of a sudden, because he has this friend on the outside, like it made that much of a difference. So again, just another reason why this movie's top notch.
Yeah.
Best of the best. Best of the
Definitely.
best.
All right, PJ. I'm going to you first, man. What's your review on Shawshank Redemption?
I mean, this is an easy one for me. I mean, it's a 5. I mean, it doesn't miss at any point for me. Cast is always good. There's no useless throwaway scenes. Like everything is spot on. The build up to the end is perfect. It's a 5. It's a 5. It's just a great movie.
Tough to disagree. Taylor, what do you got?
Yeah, there's only a handful of movies that we're gonna, I think, give 5 stars, and this is obviously one of them. It's just, I think we're going to be unanimous on the 5 stars, and I hate to do it this early on, but we also picked one of the best movies of all time to do it. So we did it to ourselves, but yeah, for sure, 5 star. 5 stars.
I didn't like it.
It's a soft 2 from Mike.
I mean, this is it. Yeah, this is the one. This is a unanimous decision. It's a 5 star. It's really, really well done. I on our movie account that we have where I watched the movie, when I first watched it, I rated it on there and I gave it 4.5. And I probably did that just to give myself a little leeway to find something else. But having watched it as much as I did and read the book as many times as I've had, I think. Look, I'm not gonna keep doing this. I can't. Enough isn't.
That was really funny. It's really well done. It's really good.
It's a 5 star. All day. It's a 5 star. I mean, I have more respect for it now than I did the first time that I watched it. The acting's amazing. The casting was great. The direction was amazing. The music was amazing. I mean, Taylor, like you brought up, the insertion of Tommy and that music just to build you up in the middle when you needed it, just to get you through to the end. I mean, it was all perfect. It was just really well done. So it is a definite 5 star movie, and this is the unanimous, the first time Whiskey Flix unanimous 5 star decision is going to be the Shawshank Redemption, and I feel pretty confident about that. Like, I have no regrets about that being the first one we give 5 stars to. Like Taylor said, we just happened upon it a little too early, but at least we have the bourbon to fall back on, so we can give that a soft 2.
True.
Right? So we're good there. But yeah, it's a 5 star all day. So thanks to last week's episode when we talked about Extraction, we came up with an award called the Drunk Hypocrite Award. And unfortunately, I'm going to be the first recipient of this award. Let's take a look. Here's the problem with movies like this. I love them. I absolutely love them.
They're my wheelhouse, man. I'm with you.
So, like, what P just said about the character, I looked up reviews. I get so frustrated when the critics decide to tell me about how a character wasn't deep enough or whatever. Shut up. The character wasn't deep enough. What, you didn't know what you were going into when you turned this movie on. Like, I'm gonna give it a 2. That's really good. All right. That's obviously going to do it for episode 3. We hope you enjoyed our discussion of the Shawshank Redemption and our review of Larceny Bourbon. Please join us next time when we take on The Accountant, starring Ben Affleck, while sipping on Noble Oak Double Oak Bourbon. So then, cheers.